Deal America.
We're good. Love it. It's season 2. Anyways. Hi, guys. Welcome back. I was like, let me get it together. Hey, what's up, guys? Well, welcome back to the Skin is In podcast. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later. That's something that may be changing. But I'm here with my best friend of all time, my soul sister, my everything, the backbone
That's me, y'all.
of my life,
That's me.
everything. It only took a full year
to
me to get you on the podcast.
That's ridiculous.
It only took a full year.
I know. Can y'all believe that?
Season 2. You didn't even make one appearance.
Everybody DM her.
You
let her know.
Drag her.
Drag her on Instagram.
Listen, like, you were in the background of some, though. That's the funniest things. If you go back and you listen to some of the early podcasts from season 1, you can hear Tanya talking crap in my living room.
Yeah.
So, because that's where we filmed. Whenever we first started the podcast, we filmed in my living room. And because that was before I had a spa. Skinspo, and that's actually, I know we're filming. For those of you guys who like to watch the YouTube videos, you also may clock me because I'm pretty sure I have a lash that's like all the way off. But anyways, struggle bus, but it's okay. So how was your 2020, girl?
Oh my God, y'all. It was a lot of ups and downs. And a lot of trauma because I still remember the day that the world shut down. So that was the craziest day of my life. It was just a lot because I'm a person who really likes stability and I search for stability and I always want to feel comfortable and like know I plan. I always plan. I mean, I carry my planner everywhere. So for that to just happen all of a sudden and like have no idea what the future held, it was really crazy. And then the worst part is like I wasn't even allowed to go to therapy to talk about it.
Exactly.
Because they were shut down.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, what could we do? But, you know, after a while, I got used to it, and I really put trust in my community and in the people, and I guess it felt a little better. And now it's, like, 2021, so it's, like, I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think, like, COVID or anything is going anywhere anytime soon.
No, absolutely not. That's here to stay.
Yeah, so we can talk about that a little bit more, and how it, like, applies to, like, us in the beauty industry. But yeah, no, 2020 was rough.
Yeah, it was a lot.
For a lot of people, for sure. Like, for me, I think that 2020 was, like, it was the worst year of my life, but there were really good, like, moments in it. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I don't want to seem ungrateful because I know there was a lot of people who really, like, had it a lot, like, worse than me. But, like, to not be able to have, like, a grand opening for Skinspiration, and I was supposed to go to Bali in May, and, like, all these just, like, huge, like, life bucket list things were supposed to happen for me that, like, didn't end up happening. Right. And maybe some of you guys, like, listening to this, I'm sure you can relate because everybody's lost something from this whole thing. And being closed and not being able to do my job was, like, the craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. And the crazy thing is some people are still, like, in shutdowns, especially for estheticians. Some of you guys still can't work.
A lot.
So that's super
and
heartbreaking.
A lot of people lost their businesses.
Yes. Yeah. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about that in a second. But to get into this, Miss Tanya Two-Turn.
That's me, guys. Y'all, everybody knows me like that.
Tanya Two-Turn.
That's me.
So in this episode of the Skin is In podcast, which, okay, before we get into this, I'm changing the name, guys. So officially, I'm changing the name to the Natalie Warren podcast. So the Skin is In podcast is about to dissipate here soon. It is going to officially be the Natalie Michelle Warren podcast. NNW looks like a freaking heartbeat, like a heart monitor, just like.
I love it though.
But yeah, nice. So I'm gonna change the name of the podcast to my name, and the reason why is because I do a lot of things. Right? I do a lot of things. I own a medical spa. I'm a podcast host. I'm also a business coach. And I'm also a full-time badass bitch. Right?
Oh, period.
And I feel like in the first season, I did kind of feel like I was putting myself in a box a little bit. So I just want to be able to talk about more things besides skincare and beauty and business advice. Like, I know. And like, the thing is, like, in the business coaching world, like, I tell all my students this, and I've had so many people tell me this. picking a niche is really, really good. Like, my niche for Skinspiration is obviously estheticians. Y'all listening to this are most likely an esthetician if you are listening to this right now. But I don't want to just talk to estheticians. I want to talk to everybody. So, to make a long story short, I'm changing the name of the podcast. It's going to be officially Natalie Michelle Warren. So just wanted to let you guys know that. But anyways, moving along from that, this episode of the podcast is going to be about how to have an epic 2021. Okay? Emphasis on epic. Okay? Period.
Emphasis.
Per.
How to be a badass bitch in 2021.
In 2021. So, with Tanya and Nat. And of course, and I wanted to have you specifically on this because, like, you are the epitome of just, like, boss vibes, energy, just, like, everything. Like, I just love you so much. And I feel like people who are like that, like, their life usually wasn't always, like, unicorns and rainbows. So I want to get into that, But the main thing is, and I talked about this on the Skinspiration stories, which if you aren't following me, Natalie Michelle Warren on Instagram and also The Skinspiration, that's my business. Definitely follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all the things.
All the socials,
girl.
Every single one of them.
But I talked about this on the Skinspiration stories, and I feel like around the new year, there's two different types of people, right? There's the people who are like, kind of like me, like, oh yeah, a new year comes around, I'm gonna set all these goals, I'm gonna do all this stuff, like da-da-da-da. And then there's the second type of person, and those people, and this may be you listening to this, are like, oh, hell no, I don't want anything to do with this new year situation because it's just another day, it's just another year, and I never keep the resolutions or the goals or the things that I tell myself I'm gonna do. How many of you guys have said, oh, this is gonna be the year that I lose 30 pounds, I'm gonna get this body snatched, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna raise my credit, I'm gonna save $10,000, like I'm gonna do all this stuff, and you don't do it. And I was talking about this on with kind of like my Skinspo fam on the stories because I love to inspire them. And for those of you guys who own businesses, I highly recommend trying to inspire your customers and not just constantly trying to like sell them things. But I was talking about that, and I feel like this happens. The whole idea of setting goals and not reaching them happens because we make promises to ourselves that we just can't keep. And there may be like a big list of reasons of why you can't keep them, but I think the biggest thing is, and I saw this quote on Instagram, was you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. So it doesn't matter what type of goals you're setting, what type of resolutions you're setting. If you as a person aren't making an effort to change things you're doing every single day, nothing is going to be the same. And that's what I was talking about on the stories because I was like, I'm going to give you guys the harsh truth.
Right.
Like 2021, I mean, technically, economically, politically, like really everything, it looks like it's looking like the exact same as last year. We're probably going to deal with the same issues. We're going to be in the same type of situation that we've been dealing with. And we cannot control that. I can't control that. Tanya can't control that. You listening to this can't control that. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, whatever box you fall into, whether you're in the beauty industry, whether you're not, whether you're a photographer, whether you're a stay-at-home mom. It doesn't matter, okay? There is a list of things that we have absolutely no control over, but I personally feel like we can control our mindset. And that's something that I kind of wanted to talk about with the girls, the guys, we need to find a name for the people who listen to this podcast. Like the skinnies. Well, the name's changing.
The barbs. Just kidding. Nikki, don't come for me, please.
Yeah, please. Nikki,
actually, please do come for me. I would love to talk.
It would be an honor.
It would be such an
honestly. But yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing is like you have to adjust your mindset. So what are some actual, because we're over here talking about like how, but where's the actual like how? And I genuinely want to say if you aren't setting a list of habits that you want to change to as well, you're not going to be able to rise to your goals because you're falling to your systems. So like, for example, like if your goal is I want to start working out. Well, you have to be realistic about when and how you're going to be working out. Like you cannot go from being undisciplined and not doing anything and like eating like crap and never working out to being this person that wakes up at 5 a.m. every single morning and working out. You may be able to do that for a week. You may be able to do that for 2 weeks. 30 days max, but eventually, if you aren't changing things in your mindset, and if you aren't slowly working into things and setting realistic, attainable goals, you are just going to fall to the habits that you naturally have. And that applies with anything, especially in business, because so many of you guys are like, 2021 is going to be the year that I'm going to be booked out. Like, I just did a poll on my personal Instagram, because that's where I do most of my coaching. And I asked, I was like, so majority of you guys, like, if a miracle could happen in your business tomorrow, what would it be? Like 9 out of 10 people all said, I want to be booked out. But in my head, I'm like, okay, so there's so many different things that goes into being booked out. But like, I wonder if all those people that said that are really putting in the work and really adjusting things in their businesses to be that way.
And it's like, even baby steps are important, you know,
Yes.
like starting small. And if it doesn't work, don't let that stop you from keep climbing, you know, that staircase that you want to climb.
Yeah. And I think too, like, I don't want to be like insensitive, because like some of you guys who are listening to this right now, like, you may be in a really like dark place. Like 2020, like, I had moments like that.
It was a dark shadow for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you of all people, all people should know, like, because I mean, you kind of went through like something really traumatic in 2020. Like, you lost a family business, basically.
Yes. So my father, his whole life, if you know me, I'm first generation. So that means that my family came from Mexico to give me and my siblings a better life. And, you know, it's been rough. You know, my dad can't do a lot of things that normal people can do, or a job that normal people can have and get. I mean, he couldn't even file for unemployment, you know, like it was tough. So his whole life, he always wanted to have a restaurant, his own business, something that he could give to his children, and something that he could live after he retires, you know, something that would bring in money after his retirement. So him and 2 of my uncles, they actually opened up a restaurant. Well, it was actually already open, but he actually took over. My uncle had just had enough of it, so he wanted to move on from that, and my dad happily took over. Everything was great, and then COVID hit. And I remember the exact day. It was honestly super traumatizing, super depressing, because my dad would just sit on this rolly chair and look out the window, hoping and praying that people would come in. Customers would like come to grab food to go, because that was all we could do whenever the shutdown first happened. And for me, because I'm so family oriented, and, you know, I grew up learning about my history, learning about the struggles of, you know, people coming from other countries. It was super depressing seeing my dad in that situation. But he finally kind of just accepted what was going on and decided it would be best for everyone, and especially himself, to just close the business. So we did end up closing the business, which I honestly, it wasn't that bad for me, because I didn't necessarily like the food industry. And being in there, I dealt with a lot of good people, but also a lot of bad people. So it was a lot. It was a lot of stress on me. And I mean, I started off working in the food industry since I was like 16, you know, so
we together.
We did. We worked together, y'all. And now look at us.
It was horrible.
It was a time.
Dude, like, being a waitress is literally the hardest job I've ever had.
It's very hard.
And people are so mean to you, like so mean to you. So like, I totally understand. Like, and you know, and I'm so like grateful that you shared that story and that you're talking about that, as like difficult as I know it is for you, because there's so many people listening to this right now who are in that same place. They've lost their business, or or a family member has lost their business, or they've lost their job. And every time I see somebody like post on Instagram or post on Facebook about their business closing, I imagine my business closing. I imagine my dream ending, like at that point. And the thing is, it's like, unfortunately, like, nobody could have predicted what was going to happen. So it's to the point to where, like, you have a right to feel the way you want to feel about it, But I think also your exit strategy is very, very important. Like you, for example, you exited out of the food industry, but you entered into the beauty industry in a job that you're freaking killing it at.
And now I love my life.
Yes, like as the spa director of Skinspiration, and it was honestly like a God thing, because had that never happened, you would have never been able to move back to Campbellsville from Lexington and start, working for me. So it was like, it's one of those things where sometimes those of you guys who have had this like crazy thing happen where you feel like your dream or your career has just been like ripped out from under you. Yes, it's a rough thing to go through. It's a very difficult thing to go through. But what does your exit strategy look like? And I think, there's so many people in the beauty industry who own spas, who own like hair salons, like nail salons, who are exiting the industry. There's a massive exodus going on. And I think it's really important for us who are in the beauty industry to be supportive and to not be judgmental, especially of us in like the coaching industry, because everybody's journey looks so different. People may be exiting out of a job and going into what they were really, really designed to do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, which I've had conversations about this with some people as well, if your business was already kind of like, especially in the beauty industry, if your business was already kind of on the brink of closing, COVID was just like the nail in the coffin, like it was just kind of like a confirmation, like I agree. So I think that it's one of those things where like us who are like really still here and still trying to like make it work like with our businesses, like I think it's really important for us to be understanding and supportive of those who are choosing to exit and have had to go through that, and also like me with my coaching, trying to support and give information for those of us who are still in the thick of it.
And see, like that was a thing in my family. It's the shame of it. They never wanted me to talk about it. They didn't want anybody to know that we had to close the restaurant because of COVID. But in my eyes, I was just like, well, it just didn't work, and that shouldn't be shameful. That shouldn't be something that is kept quiet. I feel like me talking about it, it's going to help somebody else that's going through the same situation.
100%.
It's fine. We're fine. We're all great. Everything is good, and honestly, that has really taught me a really important lesson, which is, if something's not working, it's okay to let it go, and you'll find something that you like, or that you like more, or you're better, that you something that you're better at. So I mean, I never really enjoyed that business, so I'm not as upset about it. I love what I do now, and like you said, if that had never happened, I wouldn't have known what I liked.
And I think that it's one of those things too where like the biggest thing I took away from 2020 was that my business, like it's like Skinspiration, like as much as I love Skinspiration, it's my dream, and I've poured my life and all my energy into it. Like I've literally like scraped and scraggled to get to where I am. As grateful as I am for it, I realized in 2020 that Skinspiration was what I do. Yeah. It is not who I am.
Exactly.
And I think that yes, and I think that snaps for that. And I think that there is this thing in the beauty industry specifically, but really in all industries, I think it's just a thing right now of like hustle.
Yeah.
There is a toxicness or toxicity or whatever the word is that goes along with the whole like hustle thing, because I think that like I'm a hustler, okay? Like I freaking like built a business like at 21, and I have all these employees, and I'm so grateful for what I have. But at the end of the day, if Skinspiration was to close tomorrow, I would not be a failure. Maybe something I did would have failed, but I, like Natalie Warren, would not be a failure. And for so long, like whenever COVID happened, like there were moments where, like I said, like I thought like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to make it through this, or like I should just like file bankruptcy and get the heck out of here. Like it's a scary thought. It's a scary thought. And you really like have moments where you're like imagining that.
But see, I think it's the fact that you reach that goal is what's more important. Like the fact that my father got his restaurant.
He got it. Exactly.
So he can do it again. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like there's never a time to give up.
You can always start over, again, restart.
It's a learning thing.
It's a learning thing. And sometimes I think society and with social media, we put so much pressure on ourselves because we're so out there. Like everything is so out there. Like even with Skinspiration, like people saw me go from renting a room to getting a building, to showing them the building, to the building not being ready for a couple months. And then like, do you
remember how like hectic that time was?
Oh my God, girl,
I
literally
so upset about it. And I felt so horrible.
I have had like the the darkest moments of my life in 2020. Like in March, whenever I started this podcast, I would get on and I would like throw on a happy face, but I literally was like in the most like manic depressive state of my entire life. And honestly, like around Thanksgiving in 2022, like I was really going through it, and I had to take like a little break from socials and stuff. And I just really had to focus on my mental health, because like I just feel like my young 22-year-old self had just been like wrecked by the world. Like I think it was just like I had a plan, I had a mission, and everything was going great, and then it was just like boom. But it made me a stronger person, and I truly think it made me realize that like you've been able to do something great, but like that's not where your calling ends. Like a big thing that I realized in 2020 was that I have a calling to be a business coach and to help other estheticians. And for so long, I saw people around me kind of starting to train, starting to do all this stuff. But I kind of was dealing with like imposter syndrome. Like I was like, yeah, because people would come up to me and they would be like, you know, you should start like helping other estheticians. And I would give so much information like via DMs, like away for free, just talking to estheticians and like other beauty entrepreneurs about like just business advice, financial advice, marketing advice, all this different stuff. And I could never wrap my head around the fact that like I could be one of those people who was actually like a business coach, because I was like, I don't have an MBA or any degree for that matter. So in my head, I just felt like I was less qualified.
Right.
But then I was like, you know what? I kind of skipped the line a little bit, because like I think the fact that I don't have that and I've still built what I've built is even more of like a big deal, because it was like I literally like I didn't have anything. Like
not a lot of people know they can do this, you know?
No,
like,
exactly. And there's a formula, and I have it. And it's one of those things where it's like that's my new like thing. Like I don't know, I don't want to get on a whole like business coaching rant, but that is something that came out of 2020. Like I realized I love coaching other estheticians. I love helping them grow their business to whenever they tell me like a goal they have, and they're like, this is the goal that I ultimately like want to be making like per month, and they hit that in like a month, and it's like oh my gosh, like it's a different type of gratification. So I think that to touch on your point, like as difficult as some of the trials and tribulations that we go through, it really, really is. It can kind of show you like where you ultimately need to be. But moving on, what are a couple things that the ladies and the gentlemen can apply to 2021 to have like an epic year? And I think one of the biggest things that we were talking about is cutting out toxic relationships.
Dun dun dun.
Okay. Oh, Kurt. I can't roll my eyes.
Can't. No, we
it's
practiced.
So embarrassing.
We practiced.
It's so
we'll get there one time, baby.
Oh, Kurt.
You got a business. You can roll your R's.
They say that like you should take like a pen or something and like put it on like your you know.
Maybe.
Yeah, and it's supposed to teach you how to roll your R's.
I was born with this.
Yeah, lucky you.
I know Spanish.
That's the one thing I think that hinders me from speaking Spanish, because I can't roll my R's.
Drake, if you're watching this podcast, I'm from Kentucky, and I know Spanish. I'm Latina.
Oh my gosh. Jack
Harlow?
Okay, so listen, I'm a pro at cutting out toxicity from my life. I feel like you're pretty unbothered with it too.
I don't care much about it, but one of my things that is good and bad is that I just love people so much. Like until I get to know who you are, and if it's not for me, but I'm just so accepting of people into my life. Yeah, but don't get it twisted. Don't start with me. I'll cut you. I'll cut you out.
That's so funny. No, and I think the biggest thing too for like I think women, like we are naturally very like like I feel
like it's because we're kind of raised to be like that, because we're women, nurturing, motherly, accepting.
And I think too, like something that I really like, I just hope and pray and manifest that every single one of you guys listening to this find this year are really good, strong, true friendships, because so many people are so wounded. They're so wounded, like they don't trust women, they don't trust like having good girlfriends because they've never had it. Like one of our estheticians who works here, like she, was telling me that like I love working here so much because I feel like I have the best girlfriends ever. And that's something that she felt like she really didn't have before. Right. And I think so many like women especially, like we can just sometimes be very like negative and like, you know, like we have like catty tendencies. So sometimes those like middle school, high school tendencies, like people don't really grow out of that and they carry it on into life.
They don't process that trauma.
They don't process that trauma. And I think that sometimes they project that onto other people and it gives other people friendship issues.
Yeah, I agree.
So like straight up, something that I want every single one of you guys to understand, that if you do not have a good support system, if you do not have good people around you, you will not be able to achieve all the amazing, awesome, wonderful things that you want to do, okay? Because I hate to break it to you, you cannot survive in this life on your own. It's impossible. Like I've literally come to terms with the fact that like whenever I'm literally like on the edge of like a mental breakdown, the only people who can pull me back are the people who care the most about me. And it's one of those things where it's taken me a really long time to find people in my life who I really, really click with and love, and I know love me back and have my best interest. But I truly think it's important to look for those friendships and weed out the friendships that aren't serving you. Like if somebody isn't supporting your dreams and your visions and your goals and like is like constantly being negative to you, and if you're constantly talking about something you want to do with your business or like a trip you want to go on or like something like that, like, and they're constantly shooting you down and making you feel small and making you feel bad about your dreams, you just need to put that person in the trash can, girl. Like literally just exit it out of your life, because you deserve so much more than that.
Absolutely.
So much more than that. Like the block button is my best friend.
Yeah.
Like it literally is. And not even to be like, oh my God, but it's genuine. It's like self-care in a way. And I think that I think it's also like a maturity thing. I think sometimes when like you're younger, there's people who feel like everybody has to like me and I have to be friends with everybody and I have to like kind of keep up with the Joneses, which is a whole other thing. But I think that's going to be something that is so important. Weed out the toxic relationships. Block his number, girl.
Block his number, girl.
Block his number, girl.
Block her number.
Or her number, yeah.
It's up to you.
Or, yeah, anybody's number. But
Anybody's.
I think that's going to be, like, the biggest thing, cutting out the toxic relationships. And also, this is something that I really wanted to talk about, because y'all know this is, like, the business coach kicking in. Something that I really recommend all of you guys doing, especially considering like the state that the world is in, is diversifying your money. Okay. So like right now, like our generation's really into stocks.
Yes.
I personally am not into stocks. It's not my thing. It's not my jive. I've played around with it a little bit. I don't like it. It's not my thing. Right. So I don't do it. But a lot of people right now, like there's so many apps that have made it so easy to like invest like a little bit of money here and there. So that's something that I highly recommend doing. And diversifying your money looks different for everybody. Like it doesn't always look like going out here and like buying a rental property. Right. Like not everybody's at that point, but it can be like investing in stocks. It could be picking up like a really easy side hustle. There's so many businesses right now that are paying so much for you to work from home.
Even starting a savings account.
Yes, like I have an employee who like part-time will work for the census. Like she'll work for the census a couple hours a week and like she gets a nice little extra. Like there's so many
people don't know that.
Exactly.
People don't know that.
People don't know that things like that are out there and that they're accessible. So I think diversifying your money, because, and I am right there with you, like I'm kind of like, the tweets are coming from inside the house with me, because I think a lot of the times, a lot of us who had to close businesses last year or had like business ventures that have failed, I think a part of that is because maybe we were putting all our focus and all our energy into this one thing, which is what they tell you to do whenever you're starting a business. And I totally like agree with that to a certain extent. But like, that's why it's so important for us as beauty entrepreneurs, especially, like have some other side hustle, okay? Like have something that brings you in like extra income, even if it's not a lot, because we all need something to fall back on, even if it's just like a couple extra $1,000 a year or a couple $100 a year. Like if it's literally not that much, have a side hustle, have some other way of income besides just your job, because you never know when the freaking rug is going to be pulled out beneath you. So it's just good to have multiple streams of income and to just, you don't have to always slay in your lane. You can slay all the lanes, okay? So
stay in all the lanes.
Yeah. Well, I meant like slay, like, you know what I'm saying? Like slay, because I slay in my lane.
Slay your lanes, girl.
Slay your lanes, girl. But anyways, so that's a big one. Diversify your money. Cut out toxic relationships. Do you have anything to add?
Thinking something else. I would say really just focusing on your spirituality, whatever faith, you know, whatever your faith is, because we love all faiths here, you know. Just really focusing on that, trusting in it. After everything, you know, I focused a lot on spiritually healing myself and cleansing myself. And I think that's really, really helped me become more of a patient and understanding person. Yeah. But also, it really has helped me set my boundaries for 2021. Yeah. You know, and really just say no when I want to say no, say yes when I want to say yes, you know, and just like putting myself first.
Like telling Natalie, no, I will not go to Denver with you and Trey at the end of the month.
In my defense, it is very cold, and you cannot put a little Mexican girl in a very cold country or state. Oh my God, delete that. Don't let them hear me say country.
Right, it's a Colorado's a state.
It's a state.
It's a state.
I know that, guys. Okay. I'm from here.
I'm from here.
I was born here.
But no, like I totally like agree with you. I think what you're mainly talking about is like self-care at the end of the day. And because I have a self-care business, I'm all about that, obviously. And it's the truth, because like I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, so many people make promises to themselves they can't keep, and they end up failing because they're not taking care of themselves. Like, if you're going to try to start working out all the time, girl, you better be getting frequent massages.
And that's what sucks, because if they don't reach that, then they hate themselves more.
Exactly.
And that's what we don't have time for in 2021 is to hate yourself.
Yeah, and we have to be more gentle with ourselves.
We do, and understanding.
Yes, because like, and I mean, take it from me, I am my worst critic. Because I don't have a boss, right? So I have to be my own boss. So I'm like so hard on myself, and it's like 2 a.m, 2:30, and I'm like texting Tanya a list of things that I need her to do for the next day, because I cannot shut my brain off, because I'm so hard on myself. And like whenever like things happen, sometimes like I won't I'll like internalize it, and I'll think it's my fault, even though I may have had like no control over it.
Right.
So that's something that I want to be better at in 2021, is to just be more gentle with myself.
The only control you have is how you react to something.
Exactly.
You know, stuff happens, and it's not a fair world.
No.
But what matters is how you react to that.
Exactly. And I think that's like, if any of you guys listening to this take anything out of this episode, it is the fact that like you cannot control what's going on in the world. You can't control what other people are doing. You cannot control any of that. So don't put your energy into that, because when you are like, I truly feel like a big reason of why people are so unhappy is because people are putting so much of their energy into for lack of a better word, like a shit world right now. Yeah. Because like things are gonna keep happening. Like 2021 is not just gonna magically snap. COVID's not gonna magically go away, and like it's not going to just magically change. Like what is going on is gonna keep going on, but we can only control how we deal with it and how we react to it. Exactly like what you said. And it wasn't our fault, but I think that we have a responsibility to ourselves and to our world to keep putting good energy out, and to keep, and like Tanya was saying, like whether you're spiritual, whether you go to church, like, or whether like you are not a spiritual person, not a religious person at all, like I have like a guy that I date is an atheist, and he climbs mountains. Like that's what he does. Like whenever he needs to like self-care and like get in touch with the source, because he kind of doesn't have like a source, like he climbs mountains. Like that's what he does.
And that's what makes him feel better.
And that's what makes him feel better, because he at the top of that mountain, he looks back and he realizes that that's kind of like a paradigm on life. Like there's nothing at the top. There's no destination.
But
like
he did that.
But he did that. And that's kind of just like, I think just a quote about life in general. It's like, you know, there's nothing at the top always. And I really felt that whenever I got my business. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I got everything I thought I wanted, and then I realized, I was like, wow, this is a nightmare. Like, for lack of a better word, I was like, there were moments in 2020 where I literally felt like my life was a nightmare. And on the outside, it looked great. It was like, oh, she's young, she's got this killer business, she's da-da-da-da, she's all this stuff. And in reality, I'm like falling apart, bro. Like literally like falling apart mentally, like spiritually, like just my energy is just completely like wrecked. And I had to realize, and it wasn't until I had that conversation with this guy, and he told me, he said, there's nothing at the top of the mountain. He said, you get there, and yes, there's a beautiful view, but it's not about the destination. Right. It's about the journey. It's about the fact that you did that. And I think that that's just kind of a truth about life in a way, of that every single day, nothing ever feels like it changes. Everything kind of feels the same. But look back, and a year ago, everything was so different. Everything was so different. So it's like every single day, and I know this sounds so corny, it really, really is a gift, especially with like the healthcare crisis we have going on. Like there's literally people who are fighting to live. And if you're healthy and you are young and you're out here and you still like you're killing it, like that is such a blessing. Like even just being able to wake up in the morning is such a blessing. And I think sometimes we get, because all our problems are valid, but I think sometimes we just get into this like selfish, condescending, self-blame, self-doubt, self-hate, like self-anything. Like you feel it and you feel bad. And I think that sometimes we get caught in this and it literally destroys us. It destroys our mental state. It destroys our relationships. It bleeds into it like so many things. Our financial state because, and that's another thing. The biggest thing I want y'all to stop doing in 2021 is this keeping up with the Joneses, okay? Because a lot of y'all have $5,000 bags with no cash in them. And I'm going to say that twice. A lot of y'all have $5,000 bags with no cash in them, okay? And at one point, that was me.
Yes, it was. I was there to see that.
Because listen, like I'm over here talking about this, and at one point, that literally was me because like, I mean, not like recently, but like there was a period of time where like whenever I was like really, really young, like I would make money and I would invest it in stupid things. Like, and I don't mean it because I don't mean this in a bad way, because like I know there are a lot of women who like are fashion icons and it makes them feel good whenever they buy a Chanel bag or whenever they buy a Louis Vuitton bag or a Gucci bag. Like it genuinely makes them feel good because they feel like they're investing in a really great piece and it brings them joy. If you have the money, spend your money however you want, girl. Like nobody can tell you anything.
It's your bag, girl, literally.
It's your bag. But at the same time, if you are in a place where one, you do not have the money for that and you come across enough money that like you could get something like that, that I feel like is a toxic mentality when it's like, oh wow, like, you know, like for example, like if something was going on with my car or something's going on with my house and your priorities are that like messed up to where you're going to go invest in like a materialistic object because society is making you feel like it's going to make you feel good.
It doesn't.
Like one of my business coaches said that the other day too. She was like, whenever you buy like a really nice bag or a really nice belt or something like that, like you're not buying the product. You're buying a status in our society. Like you're buying a status. And listen, so don't y'all read me because some of y'all are going to get on my Instagram and be like, oh my God, Natalie, you have a Chanel bag. You have a Gucci belt. Like, da-da-da. Hey, straight up. I didn't buy a lot of that. A lot of that was gifts, like was gifted to me. So like it's one of those things where like you're looking at these Instagram girls, you're looking at all this stuff. You don't know if that stuff's fake. You don't know if they got that from their Aunt Sally. You don't know if they're really out here dropping like 5K, 10K, 20K on all these things. And it doesn't have to just be fashion items. It can be cars that you don't need. It can be like whatever, you know, it could be vacations you don't need to take. Like whatever the case may be, we all, I feel like, have things that we purchase because we think it's going to bring us happiness. And then you get it and you're like, wow, I wasted this money. I could have put this into my business. I could have put this into an online course. Like I could have bought something that was going to give me information that I'd have forever.
Most of the time, it's mostly for approval of other people.
Approval of other people. It's keeping up with the Joneses.
Literally. And it's just like, do you really need it that bad? Like, can you not just approve yourself?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a journey too, because I still struggle with it. Like I get on, and I think Instagram is the source of so much of it. It's the source of so many people's like self-doubt and like just.
See, I think Twitter too.
Oh, girl. See, I don't have Twitter.
I love Twitter.
I don't have Twitter.
I'm a tweeter.
And I love my life because I don't have Twitter. I have like a Skinspiration Twitter, I think. And I don't know if I would start a Natalie Warren Twitter just because I had Twitter in high school and I did not like how it made me feel.
Yeah, it was toxic.
It was toxic. I did not like how it made me feel. It really made me feel like insecure, I guess. And just like, I felt like a lot of people hated me that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it was weird. I didn't like it. But hey, a lot of people love Twitter because it's funny. I will say that it's freaking hilarious. It's freaking hilarious. But at the same time, you control your filters.
Yes, you do.
So like, if you are getting on a social media site and like this is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing, but there's sometimes that I have to like unfollow Kylie Jenner for like a period of time. Sometimes I'm like, I see things and she motivates me, right? But sometimes I see her and she hurts my feelings. I'm like, I'm like nothing.
Girl.
I know, because it's like she's like my age. And, you know, she has a beauty business. I have a beauty business. And I'm over here like she, you know what I mean? Like, there's literally some times where I compare myself and I'm like.
I tend to have that mentality sometimes. But then like something in the back of my head is like, do you really think she's happy?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, it's not Kylie's fault. It's my fault. It's Natalie's fault, you know? So it's one of those things where you control your filters. Like, if you constantly get on Instagram or social media and you don't feel uplifted, you don't feel like you're learning, you don't feel inspired, just unfollow people. Like, unfollow people. If they make you feel bad, if they make you feel negative, or like if you feel like you're just comparing yourself too much to them, unfollow them. Especially for those of you guys who are like starting out like estheticians. I remember whenever I first started my page, I would follow like some huge estheticians who had like these huge followings and were killing it and all this stuff. And it would kind of make me feel bad about my little like 200, you know, followers page where I'm posting all these graphics that aren't even mine. And I was feeling bad, you know? So it was one of those things where instead of letting that make me feel bad, I used it to inspire me to keep growing. Yeah, to keep growing.
To keep going up.
Exactly. So I think you can control your filters if something is making you feel really bad or just like bad energy. So I think that's going to be
also
a big thing
Kylie
too.
Jenner. If you're watching this podcast,
we love you.
We love you. Send us a check. Let's be friends.
Yeah, we'll do a Skinspo Kylie Cosmetics collab. Or Kylie Skincare. No.
Well, that's something else. That's another podcast.
Actually.
But we would love to be friends. Please send us a check.
Kylie, we love you.
Send us a Birkin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got ones to spare. Yeah, I love you. I love you so much. Thank you for kikiing with me.
I am so proud of you.
Stop it right now. No, because the video version, we're shooting in HD now, and they will see these tears. We've like moved up in the life. We have an HD camera. They will see these tears.
we're going up. Yeah. No, but seriously, like, I'm so proud of you. I've been there, and you were there when I was going through my business situation. Yeah. And I watched you go through your hardships, and now we're here, and I work for you. And it's like incredible, y'all. Like, it's literally like incredible watching your best friend that worked with you as a waitress together, like having her own business and being able to just help her grow that business. It's like everything. Like, I love it.
Well, you're such a blessing, and you kill it. And you guys listening to this, like, that's a whole other episode. But like, whenever you're going to hire people, you have to hire people like Tanya. Like, you have to hire people who really,
me up, girl.
You have to hire people who really understand the vision and love you. I don't always recommend hiring your friends. It works. It's working for us so far. Like, so it's one of those things where I don't always recommend doing that, but like, either way, you got to hire people who see the vision, know the vision, and are with you through it, and are with the up and downs. And you are so with me. Like, and I just love you so much. And I could never repay you for all that you've done for me.
Give me a Birkin.
I love you.
I'm just kidding.
I gotta get one for myself first, girl.
That's so funny.
But no.
No, but seriously, I love you.
I love you too. And I'm sure that our listeners are going to love you after this episode. But
hi, guys. Please do. My love language is words of affirmation, so please comment that I'm pretty and nice. That's so funny.
That's so funny.
But yeah.
That was awesome.
Life is insane. I hope it gets better in 2021. I think it will. Yeah. COVID obviously is not going anywhere. Yeah. But I am praying that by at least the middle of 2021, it will be a lot more managed.
Yeah, I know. And I want to do more like live your best life episodes, kind of like this, like just kind of talking about how to just boss up on life, because it's a process, and like I said, there's never a destination. It's just like how you said, you know, if we really, Kylie Jenner, if you would ever come on the Natalie Michelle Warren podcast, I'm sure she would probably tell us that she's not happy all the time. Like, whoever you are like idolizing and you feel like they've made it, they're not happy. Most likely, they've got a list of people that they're idolizing that they want to live up to. So you have to be that person for yourself. But I think that's a mindset that it takes a really long time to get to, and a lot of discipline.
Kylie, bring Stormy.
Bring Stormy.
Bring
so
Stormy.
Cute. So cute.
So, Miss Natalie Michelle, how is everything? I heard that you're starting your online course.
You haven't heard it because I haven't talked about it yet, girl.
We live together, girl.
Oh, yeah.
I know everything that goes in your head.
You know about it, but that you actually kind of spilled some tea.
I spilled the tea, y'all.
You spilled like major tea, because I haven't talked about that at all yet on the podcast or on anything. Gas. So, gas. So I have an online course launching. It is going to launch on March 1st.
Yay!
So in like 7 to 8 weeks. And yeah, I am going to be talking a lot more about it, but it is for my estheticians and my people in the beauty industry. And it is going to be all about how to start and scale the business of your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple online courses coming out this year, but this one is going to be like my baby. And I'm not trying to like gas myself up or like gas the course up yet. Cause like obviously like I'll get to that point, but like, the information that I'm putting in this online course, I feel like is going to make people millionaires. Like that's my goal.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I want it to make
Manifest
people millionaires.
Ish.
That's my goal behind it. So, so I'm going to be talking about it a lot more, but the course is going to launch March 1st. And
Yay.
all of you all will definitely hear more about it, and you will definitely be in the loop if you want to take it. And I highly recommend taking it if you're going to be in the beauty industry, because I've learned a lot of things and now I want to share it with all of you guys. So I'm super excited about that. This is the first time I'm talking about it. So I'm really excited about it, but yeah, so you'll be able to pre-order and get on the wait list and stuff. It's going to be a while, obviously. But March 1st, the course will be live. So
Yay!
It's the first time I'm talking about it. I feel so excited. I know.
Now you have to do it, girl.
I know. Well, I have to go through with it. I can't just like I can't just not do it. I know. I'm so it's one of those things where I've wanted to come out with an online course for so long, but finally
yes,
I have it. So it's you all will have it very, very soon. And I also do business coaching. I do one-on-ones. If any of you guys are like estheticians or just anything in the beauty industry, I would love to be your coach. Message us, Natalie Michelle Warren on Instagram, The Skinspiration, and what is your...
So mine's Tanya.
Oh, don't give the explanation. I thought you were going to explain it.
Well, I was going to, because it's not spelled T-U-R-N-T. It's spelled T-R-N-T. So Tanya, the number 2, T-R-N-T. Follow me, DM me, get to know me. I love everybody.
Tanya
Let's
T-Turn.
talk.
Yeah.
Let's communicate.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about anything.
Exactly.
Anything.
Comment on this episode if you're listening on Spotify or on Apple Music. Comment one word that you want your 2020 to be about, right? So like, or 2021, sorry. Comment what you want your 2021 to be about. We forget. Because the word for my word, this is horrible. My word for 2020 was abundance. And it turned out to be an abundance of crap, trash, stress and trash, literally. But we're here.
What's your word, best friend?
I don't think I have one for 2021. I don't have one word. No. And no, I have some goals, but I don't really have one word for 2021. I don't know. I think I don't have one. What do you have one?
I mean, I'm thinking right now the only one I can think of would probably be growth.
Yeah.
I want to grow
growth
in
is
everything.
Painful though.
It is. It is.
So if you make that your word, it's a very
it's a very painful thing. But you know, me with everything that I've been through, how much pain, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like now I can, like, come on, like, give it to me.
Right. I'm not scared of anything. I started a skincare business in 2020. Bitch. Okay. Period.
Bad bitches only.
Well, Miss Tanya, Miss Tanya. We probably should go ahead and sign off because it's getting late.
We're starving
Because we fast.
You know? We fast. Skinnies.
All right, you guys, I love you so much. We are signing off. This is the Natalie Michelle Warren podcast now. Also, stay on the lookout for my online course dropping March 1st. Like I said, I am a business coach, esthetician, podcast host, extraordinary.
Bad bitch.
I guess.
Licensed, too.
Anyways, I love you guys. I am wishing all of you guys so much growth, so much abundance, so many good, positive things in 2021. I love you all. I hope you crush your goals. And always remember, why survive when you can
thrive.